Alright guys, Robbie here back again today. Hope you're all enjoying your Tuesday, and today I wanted to talk about something I saw on Twitter a couple of days ago, and it relates to something I saw Crimsix tweet probably a few weeks ago now, and that is in relation to Money 10s, as they're known right now. Used to be Money 8s, effectively pick-up games between professional players where, you know, you'll choose two captains, they will then pick their team, and you'll play like a best-of-7 series against each other, and everyone will put $20 in, and the winner, you know, the winning team takes the entire pot. They used to be a pretty enjoyable thing to watch back in the day. It's been involved in Call of Duty from, you know, a very long time. I remember I really got into watching Call of Duty competitive in the Black Ops 3 days. At least I used to watch the matches, but I used to start watching on Twitch in the Black Ops 3 days, watching Formal and Karma play in Money 8s it was at the time, and also after they'd finished their scrims for the night, they would go on and play Money 8s. You know, Money 8s, Money 10s, of course, now with being 5v5, have got their fair share of bad press, I guess. You know, Aches has talked about how he doesn't really like it because it makes the scene too buddy-buddy. He'd prefer there to be more rivalries within the scene, but we'll get onto that in the coming minutes here. So, like, if you guys enjoy the YouTube algorithm, would greatly appreciate to help push the video out to a newer audience. Subscribe if you're new, as always. Let's hop into it here. Firstly, thanks a lot to Infamous Kev on Twitter for pointing out to me I got the 2K wrong in yesterday's video. I was a bit confused because it wasn't appearing on Gamepedia, so I clicked on something and it looked like it was the correct 2K, but I was a bit confused looking at it, thinking, you know, why is the team not labelled UYU? And looking closer at it, Tish was still on that team, so, you know, my mistake in yesterday's video. This was the actual 2K results, and I want to do a video either tomorrow or in coming days where we talk about, you know, good players that have missed out on the league, and this is something that I'll be covering, the results of that 2K especially. So here we go, Call of Duty Season 1 continues. Jump in tomorrow and experience classic maps like Vacant and Shipment, new multiplayer modes, and much more. So Vacant and Shipment are back in Call of Duty for this year. Pretty good to see. We heard these were coming a while ago. Hopefully Vacant might be added to the competitive rotation, because that was always a pretty damn good search and destroy map in the COD 4 days, in my opinion, better than Crash. So hopefully we can get that in the GB rotation at the very least. And another big thing to mention before we go on to the main topic of today's video: a lot of you guys, if you still play Call of Duty, or if you have done in the past, you may well have used a Scuff controller, a Battle Beaver controller, and one of those alternatives. Now, PlayStation have just announced, if this video actually wants to play, I'll just put it in the background so you guys can see it on the big screen, but they've announced this new controller that actually has paddles on the back. So, as you guys may be aware, a Scuff controller gives you 2 extra paddles on the back, programmable buttons, which means you can use them to, well, in my case, I use one to slide, and I don't actually use the other one because I use R3 to jump, but you know, a lot of people use those back end paddles to either do a reloading or do whatever you want. Most pros use them to slide and jump, I think, is kind of the norm, and you know, you can get controllers in the past, Scuff controllers with like 4 buttons, which I think is overkill. 2, in my opinion, is easily enough, and Scuff pretty much dominates that market for a long period of time. Recently, Battle Beaver has already caught up. I think Simp officially announced his partnership with Battle Beaver not too long ago, which is a pretty big deal given the league has been Scuff sponsored for a long time, so it may well not be Scuff sponsored in the upcoming season. Now this does look quite intrusive, this little device here on the DualShock 4, but you never know, this may be a valuable thing. Now, you know, $30 extra, you can attach this to your controller, which is about the same price as if you get a strike pack. I think if you guys are aware of an FPS strike pack, which you effectively does the same thing, you just strap it on your controller and it gives you those 2 extra paddles on the back. For a lot cheaper value than you'd pay for an entire customized controllable by the Controller People or Battle Beaver or, you know, whoever, and Scuff, of course. So, yeah, very interesting to see. I wonder if this will take off. I do think it's a very, very valuable thing to have if you want to step up your game playing Call of Duty at a competitive level. Whether this will be a viable alternative, Sony, of course, tend to be very good at these kind of audio-visual devices. You know, of course, their headphones are fantastic, and, you know, I don't want to go into that today. But yeah, just wanted to go through some comments here. These could break 5 times over. You'd still have more money to save than, you'd still save money than if you were to purchase a Scuff. And it used to be the thing back in the day, in my opinion, the customer service. I've never bought one, but from what I've heard, customer service issues, also build quality and stuff, Not the ideal, you know, people talking about the paddles breaking after a few months of use. Definitely the kind of things I've heard as well. But, you know, you guys can make your own mind up, of course, about that. The Dallas Empire, the tickets are now on sale. Early bird pricing, and snag yours before the 20th of December. So if you guys want to turn up, this is what it looks like. The weekend GA pass, general admission pass, I guess is what they're going for there. $69 for the weekend. This is pretty damn good going, to be honest. Reduced from $79. And, you know, seats that get you closer to the action, priority access to future events, right to purchase tickets to the official after party. So honestly, Dallas Empire look like they're doing this the right way. Very interesting though to see how the prices seem to have pretty much reduced. Some of the teams were getting in super early with really heavy pricing, but the Dallas are saying that for March 28th, 29th, where this is going to be at the Toyota Music Factory, pretty interesting name for a venue at the very least, they're going to be dropping the pricing a bit. And this is about the same as to what we've seen the pricing be in London for that event. So, you know, as we see, only 5 events on the weekend here, only 5 matches. Interesting to see the Dallas Empire only playing in 2 of them, and their matches are not really high-tier hype matches, right? Like, why aren't the Dallas Empire playing Chicago? Why aren't they playing Seattle? Why aren't they playing OpTic Gaming, for example? But they're not, so, you know, that's just a scheduling decision that has been made. So, yeah, wanted to run that past you guys as well. Let's go on to the main topic of today's video then. So, Parasite tweeted this out a little bit ago. Fellow Proloot Space Paradesi, Priest, Fellow Exceed, Sib, need 1 for money 10s, no freebies. Excuse me, I see a few players on this list that aren't allowed to play money 10s. I don't want to have to report anything to anyone. I count 3. What about you? I count 3 as well. Writing up the email now. So let's figure out what exactly they mean by 3. Let's see if this actually fits. Okay, that probably wasn't quite on the screen for you guys. This should just about do it. So, okay, so let's have a look through these players. Decimate, Priester, and Exceed, I believe, are signed to teams in the league. So Decimate on the Los Angeles Guerillas, Priester, of course, on Atlanta FaZe, and Exceed, I think, is a substitute somewhere. On the Minnesota Rokkr, actually, I'm pretty sure. So that's 3 individuals signed to competitive teams in the league on this team of these 10 players, right? Or like of these 9. And, you know, obviously that's what they're looking at. They're looking at these 3 individuals that are signed to teams, and they're saying that, you know, these guys aren't allowed to play money 10s. This is, of course, very interesting. We did see a tweet from Crim6 a while ago. I couldn't find it just before this video, but he effectively was talking about how, at least to summarize to some degree, he was saying, yeah, okay, we can stream and we can play 10s, but you know, I can't stream games for money, which is very interesting. People were like, okay, what's exactly going on here? Money 10s have been a staple of the scene. So just to be clear, 10s, as far as I'm aware, so people playing pickup games, is still fine, but playing those games for money apparently causes an issue. And supposedly with the Activision Blizzard CDL contracts going on. So you guys may well know much more about this than me, especially if you follow the Overwatch League. Supposedly there's something very similar. So that's what I wanted to look at real quick, these couple of Reddit thread comments. So not surprising, Overwatch League players are also prohibited from playing pickup games for money. I don't really get the rationale, but it's another thing that will keep people from streaming as much. Would explain why Crim tweeted that he wouldn't play for money, which is that tweet I was remembering to talk about. Was afraid of this. Another reason franchising will be an issue. Kill the league in content, both censoring personalities. It's a very interesting decision. I'm really not 100% sure on the rationale behind this. And look, Crone initially at CDL Intel said, I hope he's being sarcastic. And then he goes on to say, never mind, they're banned from playing for money on stream, apparently. Not sure about tourneys, though. And you know, playing 10s is fine, but apparently playing for money is an issue. I don't really know why this is the case. I'm not sure whether it's a contractual thing with Activision that they only want you to be able to make money from their league. They don't want to prohibit or to allow other tournament organizers to come in and, you know, give out money and stuff like that and do events on their game. At the same time, this is not tournament organizations that are coming out and putting these things together. This is pros between themselves saying that you can play for money. I don't see really how that's prohibited. I guess if you do it off stream, then that would be fine because no one would know. But if you do it on stream, apparently that's an issue because you're the representative of a league. Is that considered gambling? I don't know what their thought process is. But yeah, be interested to hear your thoughts. I'd be interested to hear your thoughts for sure down in the comment section below on this one, and why Activision seem to be taking this stance, and what we can see going forwards, right? Because this isn't an ideal thing to be looking at when we think going forwards about the league, and you know, well, okay, yes, we have events pretty much every weekend. We have 26 weekends of events, I believe, over the course of the season, which is really, really good, don't get me wrong. But at the same time, between those weeks, how much streaming are we going to see? How much content are we going to see? As I said at the start of the video, back in the day, watching Money 8, as it was at the time, was a really big deal and a really big driving factor. It was really fun to watch those kind of events, those, you know, the pros play for money when at least there's something on the line. If you're just playing straight 10s with no money involved, then there's less of an incentive for pros to play them, less of an incentive to really try hard and do well, which really is an issue, right, when you talk to, you know, ensuring the game is the most enjoyable to watch, and people, you know, expecting the pros to actually stream content outside of what they are allowed to, right? Because they're not going to be streaming scrims, I can guarantee you that one. So yeah, you know, with no scrims coming into play and with no money 10s, it's questionable what we're going to be seeing going forwards then. So to finish the video off for the last couple of minutes, wanted to talk about Robbie Be. He says, new beginnings, and this is pretty damn interesting considering Robbie Be very recently has been a pretty well-known player and was in the league actually last season very briefly as well. So this is what he says, new beginnings. I'm sure a lot of you may already know, but those who don't know or are curious, I'll no longer be playing competitive Call of Duty. Sitting here typing this out feels a little weird, as it's not what I anticipated my end would look like when I began this whole journey. Then again, I started as a random kid from New Jersey with numbers in his name, 3319, with no prior knowledge to how anything esports worked, from org owner, getting DFR'd on my first 2 locals, to getting some pro league time and qualifying for champs for both of my 2 years competing. It's been an insane ride. I'll take all the friends and memories I made along the way with me for the rest of my life, for the sacrifices of making it in the scene have taken their toll for too long now. I was not dropped or sketched on or anything like that. This was completely my own decision. It's time for me to get back into the real world and start enjoying life again. I hope that everyone I've had the pleasure with teaming with and playing against find success in their own ways. All of you have what it takes and the future of CoD is bright, so just keep pushing. Never stop fighting. I don't want this to be too long. I know nobody even reads these things. Well, it turns out I am. But I figured it was better people found out from me than rumors or anything else. If you read this much, probably means you cared or supported me at some point in my career, and that I'm forever thankful. I'll always support Call of Duty players that help to make the scene what it is and what it has been over the past few years. Interesting statement from Robbie B, given his position quite recently in the scene was looking kind of bright for him. Let's have a look at his placings over his career. So, yeah, okay, the World Championship on Aspire last season wasn't so good. Don't know if you guys remember Nation of Power, where Robbie B just hard carried them, but yeah, they got absolutely mopped. And yeah, I guess it's an interesting decision. He seemed to be a pretty promising up-and-coming player over the last season. Definitely had a lot of people not think he was so good, but had some decent results across the season in terms of the open events. Aspire even, you know, coming 3rd at the CWL London Open, which is a pretty highlight result from him throughout his career. Interesting of him to retire, but I guess he just doesn't see the return on investment. It's a very difficult thing to make it in the current situation of the scene with the fact that he's not signed to a competitive team or whatever, which does make it very difficult indeed to actually secure the bag if you're just going to be competing in open bracket tournaments and trying to make it that way. Probably a smart decision just to step back and say, you know what, I was a great Call of Duty player for my time, but it really makes more sense for me in terms of my actual livelihood to give it a rest here and pursue other alternatives that might be more acceptable, not necessarily acceptable, but more profitable, I guess, as a career path. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like if you did, subscribe if you're new. As always, I would greatly appreciate it. I'll see you very soon. Thanks for watching.